Welcome to the Higher Love with Megan podcast with me, your host, Megan Cooper, a holistic coach and trauma-informed practitioner. This podcast seeks to break out of the echo chamber of societal narratives that perpetuate our institutions and challenge the status quo of wellness and beyond. Join me as we decolonize our minds, address and use our privilege, and prioritize inclusivity. Here, diverse experiences are honoured, and together we are fostering a space that stands for higher love for all. As a listener, you are not just here to passively consume. You're an ambassador for deep healing and societal evolutions, ready to engage in thought-provoking, challenging conversations. As your host, I'm committed to providing ever-expansive spaces that inspire us to contribute to a world defined by higher love. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I'm very excited to be having this conversation with you this morning, Sally, because I know for me that the portal has really changed my life in such a positive way over the last, how long have I been in it? Only about the last four months, I think, have I been in this space. I'm part of Composting, Kerry Jarvis's group, and I shared with Kerry just before Christmas that composting for me is like a hint of weekly sanity. So I feel also that the people that I've met, the spaces that I've been a part of have been such a gift. So I'm very excited to be having this conversation with you, the creator of the portal. So welcome, Sally.
Thank you. That's lovely to hear. Composting has brought so much joy to so many people, which is lovely.
Yes. Okay, so I always like to start off with guests to introduce themselves, not in an elevator pitch kind of way, because I know for me that when someone says, right, introduce yourself, it's like every morsel of my being wants to crawl in upon itself. But just an invitation for you to introduce yourself as Sally, the human, in any way that feels most alive for you today.
Okay. Hello, I'm Sally. I am I always go to say I'm a mother of two young boys. I think that's the big thing. I'm also, the founder of the Portal Collective, which I describe as a tech startup, but there are many different parts of that. And to be honest, that is my life right now, those two pieces. The Portal has been huge for me for so long now. That I can't really see myself without it. So it's the portal, it's the boys, and that is me right now, split between those two things.
Awesome. So 3 children in the mix.
Three babies. Absolutely.
Amazing. So I wanted to ask you just at the beginning of the beginning of our conversation, what you feel your vision would be for the world and for society. Now, I know that this is a big question, but I just wanted to kind of preface this conversation with that vision. It was born out of this week. I started watching a documentary about hypernormalization by a British filmmaker called Adam Curtis, and it's about basically a term that was coined in the 80s in the Soviet Union about how even though everybody knows that the structures aren't working and the systems in place aren't working, because nobody has an idea of how else it could be, nothing actually changes. So we just continue on with the same, and how that's kind of happening right now. But what I'm starting to see, and the spaces that the collective, for example, stands for, is this collective vision is actually starting to change. I feel like many people are starting to hold a different type of collective vision. So I'm just interested in what your collective vision is for us.
It is a big one, Megan. Yes. Okay. So I think collective is the word. It's the word of the moment. Thank goodness. A lot of people are kind of waking up to that. And the big piece is returning to that wisdom, isn't it? I often talk about permaculture and how it's inspired the Portal Collective. And permaculture is based on indigenous wisdom that we have forgotten. And I think, the biggest thing of that being that we hold as individuals power We often outsource that power to governments or to big business or to people who are potentially not wielding that power well. But also individually and collectively. So, we are meant to be in community. We are meant to be working together. We are meant to have that connection with each other. And so I guess as we come back into that web of interconnectedness, that is where our future can begin to mend itself, and we can begin to create something so different to what we're living right now. And we have to hold on to that, we have to use our imaginations, and we have to practice being together again and getting comfortable with conflict and, using a diversity of voices, stretching our edges. And I'm so glad, actually, now I'm getting quite passionate because, that is what the collective is about. And holding on to that vision for kind of what we want for our children or what we want for the future keeps us going towards there. We have to keep open to that. Absolutely.
Love that. And I'm just going to read a post that you did that I really loved, which was, may we always strive to be more like mycelium and less like businessmen, more like wild horses and less like Elon, more like compost and less like tanks. What does mycelium have to teach us about business and anything else, Sally?
So firstly, that post is from someone else. I feel I feel terrible that seems to have been a couple of times now. I did tag it. I took that from someone else and put it over the top of my boots. So I need to definitely say that.
Do we know who it is?
Yes, Motherwort Rose, I believe.
Okay, great. Cited.
Yeah. Sorry about
You
that.
reposted.
I feel like I've stolen. But it's wonderful, isn't it? It's perfect. So timely, so perfect. So if you think about how mycelium works, essentially we've got all these networks underneath trees, and they're all talking to each other, and they're all connecting, and they're all breaking off, and they're all creating their own little kind of worlds over here, but they're also still connected, and then they're feeding. They allow trees to talk to each other. They allow trees to, if a tree is suffering in the forest, the trees kind of send nutrients their way via mycelium. What has it got to do with business? Everything. So we are a rich network of creators, and it's in supporting each other and connecting with each other, potentially breaking away and creating our own things, but staying kind of that interconnectedness again, that we thrive, that we're able to kind of create solutions and then build upon those solutions. So we are never ending, aren't we? We spiral, we relearn. And so, we need to stay open to new solutions coming our way, to work and collaborating with each other, to continue those solutions, to build upon those solutions. You don't want to be planting a tree in the middle of a bare field. You want to have that really rich ecosystem, that forest, that mutually sustaining forest of lots of trees, lots of plants, and lots of mycelium going on.
Awesome. And I want to bring in your background, because I actually don't know all of the run up to the Portal Collective. So could you let us know what your background is?
Yeah. Okay. I always cringe a little bit when I say this. So I've worked in e-learning. So I worked in e-learning from a young age, from like the age of 21. So creating, designing and developing online learning content for big corporate companies, essentially. And I worked across like a variety of kind of departments in that, but the tech was kind of what I always really vibed with. And what you're kind of trying to do when you design and develop that online learning is making it really engaging and interactive. You want people to obviously be finishing the learning, then to be kind of enchanted by it enough to take it into their own lives, and to kind of keep them coming back to the platform and learning more. And yeah, so I did that for a long time. And firstly, to say about that, I think those kind of big companies that I talk about, I was working for people like big oil companies, big pharmaceutical companies, and kind of, into my late 20s, started to feel like, okay, this doesn't feel aligned to who I am anymore, or ever was, I suppose. I really started kind of questioning my work and how it aligned with my values. I think at the same time I was attending Extinction Rebellion protests as I was flying out to, work with an oil company on the e-learning. And so that kind of started to affect me a little bit. And then obviously we had COVID, and there was this explosion of people creating online courses. And I took a few, and they weren't very good. They were hours of video and kind of dull PDFs, and you kind of sat alone to digest them. And the kind of stats of people finishing those courses are really low for a reason. It's passive learning. It's kind of not how to keep people engaged. So I started consulting people who are essentially trying to get their like face-to-face offerings online. And I'll come back to that, but also kind of at a similar time as I was questioning my values with the work that I was doing, I started going to a wild women's gathering in Wales called Sisters of the Wild. And that really changed me as a person. I'd always kind of explored myself in terms of like meditation and yoga, but this was like this really kind of deep connection to the earth, and then kind of my first experience of being in community, and realizing the importance of that and how much it changed me within 3 days. Coming back into kind of the normal world felt really weird. It felt like, why are we living like this? And that kind of stayed with me. I went back there a lot of times when I was pregnant with my son, and then again with my son twice as well. And with that, you're kind of sat around a campfire and people are sharing their tools and their wisdom and their knowledge. And, you've got someone teaching you how to start a fire. You've got someone else telling stories. You've got someone else, running like a tea ceremony workshop. And I guess, part of me always had in my head, I'd like to bring this online where people, we're together, but we're all sharing these kind of different skills and knowledge and wisdom. And then so started consulting with women to help them either improve on kind of online courses that they'd already created, or creating new ones to get their face-to-face offers online. And straight away just became really aware that their hands are tied with the tools that are available to them. So those platforms that probably people know with course creation, so the Kajabis and the Teachables, it very much is sit, record like hours of video, post it, share it somehow. And a lot of people that I was working with knew this as well. So they were kind of like trying to patch together different technologies because they wanted to create a different experience, for their clients. So you had people sharing meditations on SoundCloud. There'd be like a document on Google Drive, or maybe a movement video, and then they'd have like a Telegram group. But everyone was kind of doing it in different ways. So for the learner, it was kind of, for their clients, it was quite overwhelming of, what group am I in today? Where am I going today to find this piece of information? So I guess my kind of technical head started to want to solve that problem as well. And so, the Portal Collective came about, which, I'm sure I can go into again soon.
I just want to touch back to a couple of pieces what I heard when you were speaking, which I really kind of heard as like centralized values for what the Portal Collective became. Firstly, when you were talking about the sharing of kind of, learning how to build a fire, learning this, learning that, I really hear this kind of sharing of resources And also then, you talking about how these platforms like Kajabi or people who are running courses or, kind of solopreneurs, as you said, it's like, okay, here's this on SoundCloud, here's this on Google Drive, and we're kind of like divesting onto so many different places. Mm-hmm. How did all of your experience, both in kind of with your professional hat on and your personal experiences, how did those become values that you've integrated into what is today the Portal Collective? Essentially, what are the values of the Portal Collective?
What are the values of the Portal Collective? It's massively about that kind of community and collaboration piece. So it's it's about coming together, being able to share, but also being able to experience other people's content. So again, kind of back to that like diversity of voices and stretching our edges, like needing to be able to like share your own content, but also be involved with other people's content. And there's kind of this cross-pollination that I really want to encourage, which essentially keeps us, again, it's like keeping that open to change, to learning, to growing. And it's this like integration over segregation, which is a permaculture principle. And that's very much against this kind of individualized world that we're currently seeing, where it's all about make as much money as possible. This platform will make you this much money. That's kind of how they're all sold. It's all about like the selling rather than it being about what can I kind of bring to my community. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, we need to make money, but this obsession with becoming millionaires, this obsession with, 10 steps to become a millionaire is ruining us as a collective. Individualism is killing us. So yeah, did that answer your question?
Yes. Yeah. That comes up for me, and I don't know if this will sidetrack us, but what you were talking about there of like the values of like permaculture, I'm really interested in this because I don't know anything about permaculture.
Okay.
And you've mentioned this like cross-pollination and, all of these things. Can you talk a little bit about what are the values of permaculture and how that's influenced how that appears within the portal, I guess?
Yeah. So permaculture is run on the idea of 3 big ethics. So you've got earth care, people care, fair share, which is very much kind of also what the portal is about. So, we've got this climate catastrophe that is happening around us. We've got this mental health epidemic. We've got this lack of community care that not only, helps the collective, but helps us individually. We've lost our ability to connect and look after each other. I feel so strongly about that. We need to practice being together. I think that those spaces are so important. And then fair share, that we don't need to be millionaires, that we don't need to aspire to having all of this money when another person cannot feed themselves. It's as simple as that. And you get kind of people smirking at that you're naive, that, that's how humans work. And so I guess in a way, the collective is trying to prove the opposite, that actually people are craving this and working together. And this kind of adjustment of, actually, do I need this? Do I need that second car, etc.? It's all this kind of questioning of what we've been sold we want. So that bit.
And what just came into my mind was, I love what you just said there of actually this is what people want. because what I've experienced in the portal with the people that I've come into contact with is a real like love of open sharing, you know, kind of trying on ideas, digesting ideas, and, you know, people who are very open, who are very thought-provoking, who think about the big stuff, you know, having kind of big ideas but in intimate spaces, non-judgmentalness. Basically what I'm getting at is like a very connected clientele, let's say, a very connected space. And a question arises for me of like, I don't even know what this question is. Or maybe it's just a comment that actually, you know, what you've brought together are people who are really craving that and creating that together. And, you know, that being almost like anecdotal evidence for like, this is what people want.
Yeah, massively. And I think this is kind of what because it's all well and good talking about the beautiful bigger vision, which is obviously so important. It really, really is. But also we're helping people to see that like we're all creators and we all kind of have something to share, you know, or to even kind of contribute to conversations. And, you know, some people aren't able to do that straight away. Some people it takes time, it takes months. You know, they need to get comfortable in those spaces. It doesn't mean that they don't have anything to say. And I think that in this kind of fast moving world where we want solutions really quickly, those long drawn out spaces where we can really grow together are really needed. To allow kind of all those different voices to come in.
When the Portal Collective, was it kind of something that was like a bit of a slow burn that came in, like an idea that marinated and percolated, or was it like a kind of drop of inspiration?
Oh,
bit of both,
no,
maybe.
I mean, the idea was bubbling for years, as I say, that kind of, it was very much Sisters of the Wild that like, that inspired that. But I did have, so I started coming over to this female entrepreneur world, and I got a little bit sidetracked by the boss girl thing.
I did. I feel like we all did.
I got a bit sidetracked. I think it was probably Kerry that triggered. I think she triggered me a few times, and I was like, and then after I thought, okay, this is true. Anyway, yeah. So I got a little bit sidetracked by that, and so I came into this world, and I was sort of trying to sell my products. I don't know really too sure what products, you know, I was trying to sell at that point. I think I was just
trying to sell, full stop.
Yeah, I just had to make 10K each month. That was obviously just the goal. And I had like been really intensely working, constantly kind of think about it. Like when I started my business, I was pregnant with my second son. And so actually it was like a really intense time where I kind of really exhausted myself. And we went to Wales on a camping trip, and my phone died, thank God. And I was walking in the mountains, and the portal came to me, like the words, the portal came to me. It was like clear as day. And from there, I then started kind of looking into other ways for people to kind of share their content. And that very much went to, I worked kind of with people creating their own platforms, and it didn't feel right. It didn't align. I felt like this isn't, you know, I was creating individual platforms for people to share their offers, and it just didn't feel like it was lighting me up. There was something about me wanting to do it in one where everyone was sharing together. So yeah, after a while, I say a while, about 2 years, I then kind of, begun the Portal Collective, and very much encouraged by Kerry. I did some coaching with her and shared kind of this vision that I had, and she was like, this is what you need to be doing. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from.
And for anybody that has not come into contact with the portal, I thought that it would be a good way to kind of explain how it does in like an experiential way. So
Yeah.
a little bit of like a role play.
Okay.
So which I'm not going to tell you to, I'm not going to get you to sell it to me, by the way.
Okay, great.
but more just as an example of how it might work for somebody, because I think with these platforms, because it is experiential, right? It's like when you're in it, it makes so much sense. But when you're on the outside, especially when you're so used to these like individualized learning platforms and ways of being with one another, it's almost like our mind doesn't have the like the blueprint for it in some kind of way. So I am a life coach, trauma-informed therapist. And if I'm wanting to create a group program, online, like e-learning support, and, collaborate with other people who are interested in that kind of work and learn from other people about different modalities or different ways of being, how would the portal work for me?
Okay, so are we talking about the Portal Collective in its current format or the Portal 2.0?
Let's do the Portal 2.0.
Okay, the Portal 2.0. Wonderful. So the Portal 2.0 allows you to create your profile. So, you've got kind of your Megan picture, you've got about you, and then you're able to create and share different types of offerings. So as kind of we all know in this world, often good to maybe share a freebie. The reason being that you can kind of give people a really good taste of your work, and also kind of grow your email list. So the way that the Portal 2.0 will work when it launches in June is, you create your profile and then you're able to, for example, record straight into the tool and share like a meditation. And then that's available within the Portal Collective marketplace where people can sign up to it for free. And then that offer is available to them whenever they then sign back into the Portal Collective. And obviously you've then got their name and email, so you're able to kind of talk to them from there. Then in terms of like a group offering, you're able to put together kind of a course, whether that be like content that's stretched over 9 months, where you kind of got a library of resources that you grow over time. You're then able to also host live gatherings, live calls, and you're also able to add people in as a group and then you've got your community space where you can kind of keep that collaboration going. So we enable people to share memberships or like live courses, which are like over 8 weeks, for example. We've got evergreen courses, and then like one-off workshops or one-off live gatherings, and then your freebies. So it's kind of a real rich mix of potential offerings. What the future of the tool will be, so the Portal 2.0, when it launches in June, will be the first iteration. And then we have a features roadmap that people will be able to kind of feed into. But part of kind of the bigger piece down the line within the year is that, say you put out kind of your group coaching offer and you were like, you know what, Kerry Jarvis's module, another coach's module over here would work really well in this. If Kerry's got that open, you're able to nab that module, ask her to, you absolutely cite her and everything. It will have her picture and name on it, but you can pop it into your content. And again, that just keeps things like nice and diverse, nice and kind of open. It's got that collaborative piece that we know is really important. And then so the end learner as well, so your clients will be able to build their own learning pathways. So the idea being, if I log on as a learner and that week I really I'm feeling like I need to ground into something whilst I'm learning this new thing, I'm able to take different creators' pieces of content and put them together into my own learning pathway. So whether that is a movement video here, an article there, a podcast here, and just put it into something that I want to do that week. So again, it kind of just gives us back that power of being able to kind of take control of our own kind of learning. Yeah. How does that sound?
It sounds great. I mean, I'm in anyways. I was an easy sell. You posted something which really struck me on your stories the other day, which was talking about kind of intro calls that you'd had with people about the Portal 2.0, and this fear coming up for some people about this concept of like sharing their audiences, and people kind of wanting to be this like, you know, this is my audience, these are my resources, you know, very individualized. How would you speak to that in terms of how that's come about for us, what we need to lean into in order to do business differently and the world differently?
Yeah, I mean, it's very much feeding on that scarcity, isn't it? That we somehow can't, you know, we can't share content or share audiences, that there isn't enough to go round, when actually the sharing of content is where things get richer and better. And more abundant, essentially. There's nothing to... So what we've really seen with the Portal Collective, as I've mentioned before, is this cross-pollination. So when you're able to share in this way, in community with other people, you know, people then get on board with your work. There's actually really been a kind of, if anything, people are signing up to more stuff because they're kind of, they're in the platform, they've got that know, like, and trust element, and they're sort of taking more in. They're like getting richer experiences, and there's been that cross pollination, as I say. People are actually it's working better for them because they're able to work off other people's audiences. You've got people who are coming in or maybe looking for one thing, and they discover other people's work. So it's actually like a really great way to market and to network away from social media that actually kind of restricts us and is a pain, and you know, doesn't align with the values, and is also you know, fighting an algorithm each day as to what's going to get me seen. No one knows, and I think people are done with playing that game, to be honest. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, my husband and I were walking along the beach a few days ago, and you know, he just said, wonder what I should create for Instagram today. And then he kind of stopped and he was like, I don't work for Instagram.
Yes.
Like, how did that just come out of my mouth as a sentence of like, what should I create for Instagram today? And like not get paid to do it. And maybe they'll show it and maybe they won't, but I'll just create it anyway. How do you feel about this? I mean, I know that you mentioned to me that these conversations are they're really great. You know, where should we go? Where should we go that isn't these platforms? But we potentially then fall into this kind of like individualized way of like, well, I have to reinvent the wheel in some kind of way.
Yeah. No, and I think actually what you're saying is really important. Back to that kind of mycelium network, that what we're getting at the minute is people are leaving Meta, absolutely, thankfully. But everyone's going off again to create the kind of individual platforms. And whilst I very much encourage us divesting our money from these, and our time and our input and our creativity from these platforms, I question how good it is that we're then going off to create individual platforms, because we're just creating these islands that are again kind of reinforcing this problem of individualism. And whilst I don't want to say the portal is the solution for everything, back to kind of that mycelium network, you know, we can have, our individual groups, very much so, but how can we still stay connected to each other, knowing that we need to kind of ebb and flow with each other, knowing that we need to share resources and collaborate. I think that, having one place that we come and create our islands is a really important piece of this. Yeah.
I love that. And what just came up for me, you know, with this idea of, you know, this kind of revolutionary act of leaving Meta, which, you know, I really want to do, but I've also feel like I've got a bit of Stockholm syndrome with it right now.
Absolutely, we all do. We all do.
But it feels like this kind of revolutionary thing to do. But what was just coming into my awareness there is like, if we all do that, but then we don't have this kind of plan of like where we're going and where we're going together, then divide and conquer has just happened again, because we've all just kind of gone off into our different little trajectories, but we're not coming to a place where we've actually created connection and community outside of that. So that's what I heard within that share.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we're all got that feeling, haven't we, of like, I've met so many amazing people here. I don't want to walk away from this, which is, absolutely true. It's done wonders for us being connected. And obviously, with Palestine, being able to share the voices of those that are suffering and, to put them on a platform. So, there's things that we need to take into account when we're kind of leaving these platforms. Absolutely.
And for me, I mean, it's a resource to actually get news, I would say too. With the Western media being as it is, of kind of not sharing necessarily the full truth of things that go on, or just one angle of what goes on, or the kind of claims to be uncensored, but it is actually quite heavily censored. For me, it's been a big heavily censored censored. Full stop. Censored. Not actually accurate at all. Sorry, I was being overly diplomatic. Too generous in terms of Western media. For me, it's been a place of, getting news, and, but I also know people who have left and who've actually gone back to finding these in different places. So again, I guess it's, our ability to kind of share what we're doing, what we're up to in these places.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be fully committed, don't you? And that's kind of the worry. Someone said to me the other day, slacktivism, where, resharing a post is like that's what I'm doing as my activism. And actually, that's not enough. And I really don't want to, that's what I do. I think I feel like if I reshare all of this content, that's my piece. And I think that actually deep down, I know that collective care, like I need to go out into my local community more. There's a project that's going on in the local park, a permaculture project. Can I volunteer for that? Can I be talking to my neighbours a lot more? There is a real commitment to, okay, I can leave Meta, I can leave Instagram, but what else am I doing? And I think that is still uncomfortable for many people, which I completely understand. And again, okay, so how can we practice this? How can we be in groups like composting, where we together take those steps together to kind of practice community care and to kind of voice, to practice talking, to practice that, what did I say earlier, not necessarily agreeing with people. Again, okay, let's practice and then go out into the local community, I guess.
How do you feel about tech bros, Sally?
Hate them. I hate them so much, as in, I'm just so done with it. Like, I honestly, I know it's scary. It's a hugely scary time. The broligarchy. It's funny because I did a podcast, my first one, with Sas Patrick, and I did it before Christmas, but it just came out the other day. And so much has changed from then. Oh my God, including, as she said in kind of the show notes, the coup that is, the broligarchy that has now taken over the US. And it's scary. It is really scary. These men wielding huge power. You're now also seeing like Google have dropped Black History Month from their calendars.
Yeah.
They're not in our public calendars anymore. Really worrying, scary behavior. And the more that we divest from them in the kind of the smallest ways, the more impact it's going to make. I do find them laughable sometimes. I do find it difficult to take it seriously, because to me it's like this, white, clearly very troubled man wielding this power is both like, if it's infuriating and it's scary and it's laughable. And I think in a way it's like, God, can we just get together and flick these guys away? Like, this is just ridiculous. And so, yeah, how can we divest from this? How can we show in any way possible that this is not okay, that we will not be part of this? I don't know how I'm going to move my Google workspace right now, but at some point, that is definitely going to be on the divest list. Absolutely.
On the flip side of that, how do you feel about the rise of female-focused tech spaces?
Oh, very exciting. Very exciting, obviously. It's really good to see. Again, I think that, like what we just said about Elon, etc., it's hard to take them seriously. And seeing women move into taking kind of more share of that tech world. So you're potentially referring to the AI-driven Google. I mean, is it a competitor? I'm not sure, but it's woman-led, and I believe I actually don't know too much about it, but it's exciting, and it's very much something that I'm looking forward to being a part of, I think. Yeah.
Awesome. A question arose for me. You described in one of your Instagram stories the Portal Collective being your dharma. I'm just curious how that feels for you in your body, in your heart, in your bones, to be connected to a mission in that kind of way.
Hearing you say it back to me makes me teary. It's really good. It's the thing that keeps me going. It has been really hard. The story that you're referring to is also me kind of talking about how on a daily basis, I do have to kind of persuade myself that I can do this, and that it's worth me fighting that day. And that comes back to such a strong kind of belief and vision, and that's for the collective. That's very much me doing this for other people. And myself. I'm not making out like I'm some sort of selfless being, but yeah, it means a lot to me, and it's about collective care, I guess. And recently, so a few weeks ago, a member of the community gifted £15,000, and that was it's basically kicked the build off again, and to have been fighting to kind of not even to pitch to investors, just to get in the door of anyone to listen to me talk has been, so painful, especially when balancing it, bringing up 2 young children, trying to actually pay some bills, trying to actually build something. It's been incredibly hard. So to have had that springboard from a member of our community, it just meant so much in so many different ways, because of this sense of like, this isn't for me, this is for all of us. And then that's come back, and now we're able to carry on.
I mean, firstly, what an amazing investment, for somebody to gift. Amazing. And thank you to that person. On behalf of all of us. But it's beautiful. I mean, we've touched on this in composting a few times, this kind of ethos of reciprocity. And, it really comes up for me there I feel like for me, hearing stories like that really reminds me of like the beauty of people's humanity, like things like that. I think like it makes us remember that like great things can happen. People are good, and it restores some kind of faith in humanity and makes me like believe in miracles in some kind of way.
Absolutely.
Makes me like believe in magic, let's say.
Yeah, no, definitely. That I really struggle to say reciprocity. Like, can't say it.
Reciprocity. It's a tough one, isn't it?
But it's coming back to that thing, isn't it? Like, there is enough to go around. That scarcity is manufactured, but at the same time, don't get me wrong, that money changed me massively because I was so stuck, and I think the level of frustration was kind of getting in the way of me being able to move, also getting in the way of me being able to move forward. That chunk of money that was, it didn't mean as much to that person as it meant to me. And it was very much like, I don't need this, you do, here you go. It was incredible, and for so many different ways. But yeah, it is really beautiful, and exactly makes you believe in humanity. Absolutely.
Yeah, which we all need more of these days.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like there's an Instagram channel that I watch, which just shows people meeting who haven't seen each other for long periods of time. And whenever whenever I've gone deep in polycrisis content for a while, I just sweep back to this channel and I'm like, magic exists. Magic exists within all of us. It's amazing. And there was just one thing that I wanted to speak to, which we kind of covered a little bit earlier, around one of the things that really excites me about, one of the many things that excites me about Portal 2.0 is the idea of this cross-pollination, because, I asked you earlier about practitioners having this fear around kind of sharing audiences and sharing content and things like that. For me, I feel like that is such a win as a practitioner, because, why should I try to kind of reinvent something that, when I've seen another practitioner who has this complete zone of genius in this area, who's nailed it, who I've learned loads from, and it's really kind of influenced the way that I think about a certain topic that I teach.
Yeah.
How amazing for the people that I work with to be able to go through the same process of learning from this person as well. The idea of this cross-pollination for me is so powerful as a creator and as a practitioner.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I love hearing you say that, because that's exactly how it needs to be. And also, kind of, if you're starting from the beginning, if I had this 3 or 4 years ago, where I'm able to dip my toe in and, I've got something to share, I've got something to say, take away that need to kind of create a website and get my audience growing on social media and all the other kind of email marketing platform things that you have to invest in. Okay, can I share this one thing on this platform? And then, a coach that's doing really well takes my thing that I've shared and puts it into their coaching program. Suddenly I'm a lot further than I would have been if I'd kept myself individual on my platform, on my website, and tried to grow that way. So it's kind of enriching in so many different places.
Yes.
Yeah, truly believe in it.
Agreed. Can I ask you one more question?
Of course.
One more question that just comes up for me. What do you feel are the biggest gifts that you have received out of creating the Portal Collective? Apart from the 15 grand.
Yeah.
What have you received, would you say?
It's the seeing other people collaborate and the community that has already been built through it. Were you on that composting call so I get to see who's coming online, and it had just been the elections in the US, and it was composting, and I was too busy to go. And then I just saw more and more people log on, and I was just like, oh my God, these are my people, and I want to be with them in this moment. And I logged on and came onto the call, because I was just like, like we need to be together at this point. There was just such a kind of, there was a couple of days of that real like shit kind of feeling, you know, or what does my kids' future look like right now? And I needed that to come on and to be in community and to be with people who are feeling exactly the same, and to also be with people who are like, right, what can we do? You know, that kind of fighting the apathy and the depression that we are often spun into, and seeing kind of what action we can take. I think that's the other thing, is being able to enable that, kind of be the person that is, you know, helping people to get together and to take action. That's like, that comes back to that dharma thing. That's my like why, I think. So yeah, they're the gifts that I've had.
Amazing. Well, it's such a gift for me to also be a part of this space. So thank you for leaning into your dharma and listening to the call and creating it. You know, it is such a gift to be part of these spaces. And I love what you were speaking to there, of when these continually challenging to horrific things, you know, happen in our global landscape. I know for me, it's that kind of trauma response of like, I'll just be alone, I'll just be small. It's that kind of protectionist feeling, which I think is like not unique to me. It happens for a lot of people. I love what you were speaking to there, that actually when these things happen, when we're going through challenges, the invitation is for us to seek out community and continue to build community and practice being. I love what you were talking to there. What I love what you were talking to earlier, of like practicing being in these spaces together in any way we are on that particular day. So not just when we're in our like best self, but when we're with, you know, with all of our challenges and our pain and our messiness and, you know, all of these things, learning to be in these spaces with one another, seeking out connection and then being able to take action. I think, you know, for all of those reasons, the Portal Collective and what will become the Portal 2.0 is such a powerful gift to us as humans right now. So thank you so much, Sally. Thanks so much for being here today. And thanks for this conversation.
So much for having me. It's been lovely.
Hello, this is Lucy Lucraft. I am Megan's podcast producer, and I'm just quickly jumping on to tell you that was Sally, founder of the Portal Collective. Be sure to check out the Portal Collective to find out more about the upcoming Portal 2.0 launch and the exciting new features that will be available. You can also join the discussion in the online community for free and connect with other like-minded individuals who are passionate about creating a better future. Together, we can make a difference, and you will find me there along with some of Megan's other guests, Raya, the breath activist, who else? Megan, Kerry Jarvis. It's a really great place to be, so I really encourage you to go to the link in the show notes and check it out.
Thank you for listening. It's great to have you with me on this journey towards higher love for all. Our time is our greatest commodity and gift, so thanks for investing it in yourself and sharing it with me. Please do take a moment to rate and review the show, all of which enables more people to find me and for me to connect with more great guests each week for both yours and my enjoyment. All links, references and contact information is detailed too within the show notes. And I always love to hear your feedback, so feel free to hit me up on my Instagram at higherlove_with_Megan or via my website higher-love.com. Send your takeaways, and if you enjoyed this episode, please share or send on to someone else who would benefit. Until next time, big love.